Happy damn New Year to you, you wonderful Leo person. So welcome to your January 2025 AstroTarot scope. I heard you. I had so many emails, so many text messages, so many DMs, all kinds like, Raph, you can't leave us in the lurch. And I promised you I wouldn't. There's going to be a mix of old and new things this year. I'm going to be replacing a whole bunch of stuff as well. So stick with me. And for now, let's get into your January of 2025. And like the year kicks off with a bang. So get ready. All right. So before we start, as always, I want to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. Remember, whenever I'm talking about astrology, I am using whole sign tropical Western astrology for those of you that would like to know what calculations I'm using. And yeah, buckle in, right? So the first transit that I want to explore for you, this actually is playing out in exactitude over the course of the 1st through the 3rd of January. So you're getting this on the day that it comes out. There's way too many things going on in the background for me to have these out on the 1st this month. I'm hoping that they will be from here on in. But the first thing that I want to talk about, you may have guessed, is the Mars-Pluto opposition. Now, this is a big deal, right? It's the second pass of this transit that we're going to have. So it's something that obviously it's not about getting used to it. It's more a case of finding a way to navigate it that allows you to stay true to who you are, but also to navigate the world and whatever relationships you have. So Mars is in your first house at the moment. It is retrograde. That's, you know, out of all the planets, Mars is the one that most hopes to go retrograde, because it really is all about forward momentum. This is an intensely personal transit for you because Mars is in the first house empowering you, but it's Mars retrograde in the first house. So this is you rethinking how you use your power, how you strategize in the world, what you're really needing to rid yourself of or to get rid of, what you need to, allow yourself to, or what you need to really, remove from your life. Now, that being said, it is, as I say, it's intensely personal because Mars is in that first house. Now, the sun actually isn't there. It's here at the moment, but I like to start it with the sun in your sign so that you know what we're talking about, even though you should be watching these for your ascendant. Now, that being said, Mars is in that first house. This is about you. Pluto is in the 7th house. That's about it's about them or about the other, right? So 7th house is your commitments, your contracts where you're signing on the dotted line. It's personal, professional, platonic interactions and relationships of all kinds. You might feel like your buttons are being pressed by a partner or somebody close to you at this time. Maybe it's triggering some kind of frustration, maybe potentially even becoming quite volcanic. So you want to watch out for this. Now, the transit demands energy. The transit's already got a lot of energy, but the transit demands a lot of honesty with yourself about how you assert your needs and your boundaries. Like, one of the things that I said about this year, I've come into this year with a very, I don't give a shit who it is. Don't fucking play with me because I'm really not interested in it. And it's not about being overly aggressive or being mean or being rude or anything like that. It's just about being very clear about what I want for myself, what I will and what I won't tolerate this year. Period, right? I'm really not in that space to be playing games with anyone. And what's worse is later on in the month, we're going to have this Mars retrograde back into the sign of Cancer. I can already smell that passive aggressive bullshit showing up in all kinds of stuff, like social media posts, and it's like, I'm like, you know what? Really, don't try me because I promise you I'm not the one, right? This year, we're doing things very, very differently. Now, on one hand, this can be very empowering for you. As you can see, like Raph is getting all fired up there, right? It pushes you to confront the toxic dynamics in ways that you've been, where you've given your power away in relationships or connections or interactions where maybe you valued other people more than you valued yourself. And these are all things that you're going to be forced force to really look at over the course of this, this transit. And remember, this is the second pass of this, because Mars is going to go direct in Cancer, and then it's going to move over this point again, and it will oppose Pluto again. So this is the second part in a 3-part story so far. On the other hand, it could be exhausting emotionally. It could be emotionally very charged this time. A creative or spiritual outlet might help you for this, in some kind of, to bring that intensity to a creative or a spiritual pursuit or endeavor at the moment could be very empowering. And I say this because Mars for you rules your 9th house. There's the spirituality. Mars for you also rules your 4th house, which is your deep emotional makeup. And because Pluto is involved, and Pluto for you rules your feelings and your deep emotional self and the hidden retreating that you do, there is a lot going on underneath the surface. There's a lot shifting within the Leo soul at the moment, right? So this is a chance to really redefine how you see yourself in relation to others. Be mindful of power struggles at the moment. Lean into your self-care, steady yourself, and, especially as you're going on to sort of navigate these deep emotional waters at this moment in time, right? So let's get some cards to clarify on this let's see some details if we can get it. Oh, all right, that feels good there. All right, so first out, we've got the 4 of Swords. So take rest, right? This is one of the things that when your nervous system and your emotional system is so charged at this time, sometimes the best thing to do is to do nothing, maybe to sleep it off or to walk it off. You've got the King of Cups, so listen to your intuition at this time, and more importantly, especially when it comes to your business partnerships, connections and relationships. At this time, you just want to be really clear about who you do and don't want to work with, and whether it is a good or whether it's a good idea or not. And then to clarify on that even more so, you've got the the gods in this deck. Absolutely beautiful deck. They were a gift from one of my students on the tarot course, because I was saying I don't have any melanated decks, and bless her, she sent me 3, and they're absolutely exquisite. So you've got the King of Cups, you've got the King of Pentacles. 2 kings represents minor council. So what I will say is, if you've got a situation that's happening at the moment and you do feel like there's, first of all, get an outside opinion, right? Because sometimes a different perspective can really help us see where the problem is us or it's somebody else. And also, don't be afraid to talk it out. That's going to be one of the best ways to move forward at this moment in time in terms of this transit. So the second transit that I want to explore is on the 3rd of the month. We've got Venus, the lady of luxury, pleasure, love, joy, creativity, music, art, chocolate, darling, sweet things. Remember, wherever Venus goes, she sweetens that area and she helps you sort of clean it up, bring more harmony. Now, the 8th house is, it's the house of shared resources, transformation, intimacy, sex, the taboo. This transit brings a sense of healing and ease on your deep emotional wounds, challenges or traumas. It really helps you release those old wounds and potentially repair a broken bond in some way, an old financial matter or investment of some sort, or even a partnership may come into the limelight at this time. Now, for you personally, Venus rules your 3rd house, and she also rules your 10th house of your career. So your communications, conversations, sales, commercial activities, all of that kind of stuff. Communication and conversation for sure. She also rules your 10th house of your career, your social status and public standing. Because she's coming into the 8th of other people's money, it could be a very lucrative time for you. Remember, Venus is a sweetener. She brings gifts and blessings of all kinds into the area that she goes into. But use this as well, because Venus is a lightening, right, or a sweetening, and this is when I say dark, I don't mean it like as in evil. I mean like it's a dark house. The 8th house is a dark house. It's a corner of our soul that we don't necessarily want others to see, because it's where we store our traumas and our wounds and our challenges and our primal urges, and maybe some of what's considered our negative emotions. There's no such thing as a negative emotion. They all have a purpose. They're all trying to reveal something to you, right? They're messengers in some way, shape or form. Be mindful of using this energy to bring closure to any form of a toxic dynamic, especially related to your personal power or your money. The 8th house holds messages from the beyond as well. It's a very occult house, so you might feel a really strong connection to tarot, astrology, numerology. Because it's Venus, a woman could help give you some kind of insight at this moment in time. It could be as well that you have it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. It could be that you go for a tarot reading, an astrology reading, or some kind of reading that really profoundly brings a sense of ease and potentially a sense of healing to you at this time as well. So to clarify on this, you've got the 9 of Swords, right? So maybe there is something within you that needs healing, especially something that maybe you've been beating yourself up over for a long time. You've got this with the 7 of Pentacles, something that you've given way too much time, energy, effort and power to. And then you've got the 4 of Wands. Really what this says to me is that this month, you're being encouraged, as Venus moves through Pisces, you're being encouraged to really ask yourself, what does doing the work internally mean to you, and how will you celebrate when you are free of the things that have held you back? It's also a really good month. Remember, Venus is money and, value and worth. The 8th house is other people's money, but it's also investments, stocks, shares, bonds, all of that kind of stuff. So it could be, especially with the 7 of Pentacles here, this is about really configuring investments for the long term. What are you doing with your resources long term, and how are you building that financial pot up? The other thing that I want to mention here as well, with that Venus energy, pay attention to this whole Venus transit, right? Especially the tail end, so the last sort of 2 weeks of the month. And I say that because remember, Venus is going to go retrograde in the sign of Aries, so she's already starting to slow down. She hasn't hit shadow just yet and won't until the end of the month, but even still. All right, so I do want to mention that your year ahead Astro Tarot scopes are up and out there for your purchasing pleasure. You can grab those on the link in the description box below. For those of you that are so inclined, now I'm not doing any actual Zoom sessions like where it's you and me over Zoom now until April. I've got so many other things that I'm working on to bring you at this time that I'm really, really excited about. So at the moment it's just recorded sessions, but if you want to get a live session with me on the 8th of January, I will be bringing you something that I personally think is marvelous. We're going to plan your entire year, all right? I'm not going to go into any more detail than that. You're going to spend 2.5 to sort of 3 hours with me. We're going to do this over the course of that day, and you are going to leave with a plan or an action strategy. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, check out my socials, and make sure you keep an eye on the YouTube community tab, because you'll be seeing it all there. On top of that, the next round of work with me for 3 months will be released at the end of January, so stay tuned for that. My last lucky 10 were absolutely incredible. If you want to be one of them, you want to work with me one-on-one for 3 months, right? It's a pretty sweet deal. WhatsApp, all that good stuff, right? If you're interested in that, stay tuned, because it will be coming soon. And now on the 6th of January, that Mars retrograde that I was talking about comes back into the sign of Cancer. This is Mars re-entering the sign of its fall while it's retrograde in your 12th house. Mars is reactivating that 12th house for you. Of hidden matters, subconscious patterns, your spiritual growth, You know, it's your bed pleasures as well. It's your sleep. This can be an intense and reflective time, all right? No getting around it. Old fears, unresolved issues, or, you know, maybe will come to the surface in order to be healed. Remember, the beauty of Venus is she cleans up and sweetens the area, whereas Mars is the energy of let me put some foot to arse so that I can get rid of this thing, right? So it will make you more active in that way, in some way, shape or form, but it's asking you to get really serious about how you approach this. Personally, I don't mind sharing this at all. I'm going back to therapy to use this Mars retrograde in the 12th. You better believe I already have my strategy in place. I knew this transit was coming. I've been looking at this transit, this Mars retrograde, for probably about the last 18 months. And any of you that are in the Lacuna or any of you that are friends of mine will know this, because I've been talking about it ad nauseum. I'm sure everybody's like, oh, shut up, Raph. But seriously, like, I've done everything that I can to prepare for this transit because I wanted to use it best effectively rather than have its energy run me ragged, right? So Mars for you obviously rules your 4th house because Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. It also rules your 9th house. This could be a profound time where you really use or follow your emotional cues, the 4th house, in order to change your beliefs or your belief structure. Or maybe you get busy around releasing or removing beliefs that play on your emotions and create negative patterns within you. Now, this is really you looking at your emotional roots. It might bring up anger or frustration related to your family or your living situation. Potentially issues around mother as well may come up at this time. Use this to declutter not just your internal space, not just your mind and your spirit, or maybe even your body, but use it to declutter your home and your space as well. Journaling, meditation, tackling unfinished projects could really help at this time. If you've ever read the book How to Get from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be, really good book, and actually that book kickstarted a lot of my journey, and what I will say to you is there's this idea of attention qubit. So everything that you start, whether it's a book, whether it's a film, everything that you start but never finish, your brain actually files that information away as something left to do. And you imagine how many things you go through life every single day, not completing, not finishing. Use this Mars retrograde transit to finish things, to complete things, because once you do, you close that piece in it might only be a small piece, but think about how many of those small pieces you've got of things that are unfinished. This is the time to really make hay while the sun shines, as they say, right? So get to it, start completing things, start closing things down. It's a powerful time for releasing inner toxicity and transforming how you deal with anger and frustration. Trust the process right here, even if it feels like it's really uncomfortable at this time. So to clarify on this, you've got the 4 of Cups. You're going to have to sit with your feelings this month, Leo. Like, really just sit with them. It's not going to be comfortable or easy work, but it is going to be valuable, right? And then look, you've got the Moon card. So really reflecting on the past here. The 12th house is the past. So there'll be a lot of processing. There'll be a lot of things that come up. And then look at this, right? You finish with the King of Wands. In order for you to claim and own your sovereignty and your personal power, you have to address and approach everything from your past that is either unfinished, that is unresolved, that has not seen the light of day, maybe things that you've been ashamed of, maybe things that you have felt the burden of, the weight of, maybe some kind of grief, some kind of guilt. Truthfully speaking, what this says to me is your path forward to living your truly best life requires you to do the inner work. If there were ever a time to be selfish, Leo, it's around doing this work. Whatever it takes for you to get to this finish line, to do this internal work, my advice to you would be to take it. All right. So if that means putting everything and everyone else to the side for a minute while you sort yourself out, so be it. All right. So Another way that could also play out as well, you could be hearing from a King of Wands, a fire sign person, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, from the past. They might show up on social media, you know, they might reach out, they might send you a letter, you know, who knows. Then the fourth and final transit that I want to explore with you is on the 12th of January. We have the nodal shift. Now, I haven't got my south node because the south node went up the Hoover, unfortunately. I'm gutted. So you'll have to envision that, right? But the north node is going to move into Pisces. The south node, I'll put that there for the visual, is going to move here into Virgo, right? This is into your second and eighth house axis. This is the financial axis. You haven't had this exact transit for around 18 years at this point, right? So this is a pretty big deal. The second eighth house axis is themes of money, value, transformation, worth, and also shared finances and personal possessions. The North Node moving into Pisces in your 8th house is really inviting you to explore emotional and financial intimacy, as well as where you have connections to other people through the resources that are either available to you or that are being used by you and another person. It's also the 8th house, you know, North Node moving into the 8th. You could become a lot more deeply invested and interested in things like the occult, tarot, astrology, numerology, even things like hypnotherapy, especially because it's Pisces in the 8th house, right? Anything that alters the state of consciousness, you might be really interested in at this moment in time. Maybe even taking a hermit's journey, as I like to call them. All of that kind of stuff could be favoured. It's also possible at this time that you might be thinking, because remember the North Node is about what we're drawing in, what we're really pulling towards, what we feel driven and obsessed by. This is about expanding and growing your wealth. This is about big money, Plutonian money, plutocratic money. This is banking, loans, you know, inheritances. This is like if the second house is your earned income and your savings and your possessions, the 8th house is like your investments, your portfolio, all of that kind of stuff. It's like chunky money, big money. So you could be obsessed with creating that for yourself. This is the 8th house of investing as well, stocks and shares and all of that kind of stuff. Maybe now you start getting, you know, over the next 18 months, because that's how long this transit's going to last. This is where your eclipses are going to be for the next 18 months. This could be where you're starting to get really serious about learning to trade, about learning to make your money work for you, about learning how to create a genuinely passive income. Now, that South Node in the 2nd house, I'm going to move this here so that you've got a visual. Alright, the South Node in your 2nd, this is asking you to release beliefs and ideas that you've had around money that are actually potentially holding you back or holding you, or maybe stopping you from earning the kind of money that you require or feel like you deserve. Now, the 2nd house is your values, right? Your self-worth, your self-esteem. If you've been with me long enough, you'll have heard me say how much money you can make is directly linked to how you feel about yourself, your self-worth, your self-value. If it's not up there, your ability to generate money and wealth is going to be limited, right? Now, because the South Node is a draining or a getting rid of, does this mean that you're going to stop earning your income? No. Does it mean that your income can dip? Yes. But you've got the North Node in Pisces. So whatever you're losing on the swing, you're gaining, or I think it's whatever you lose on the swing, you gain on the roundabout, or vice versa. So there's that part of it. But the way that I'm going to choose to use this, I'm giving you a little bit of a life hack here. The way that I'm going to choose to use this is to get rid of the idea that I don't deserve to make money, or to release, you know, whatever stuff I might have around that idea. Truth be told, I've done a lot of this work over the last 8 to 10 years, like the last decade. This is probably not a lot to do, but I will be seeking out anything that's in there around that. The 2nd house is your food. So for, you know, at this time, and it's Virgo. So this could be a time where you start like really cleansing your yourself, cleansing your diet, releasing or removing or getting away, or letting go of anything that, from your dietary sort of habit is not serving you. That's one way to look at it. It's a time to detox your relationship with material possessions, with money, to let go of your need to prove your value, through what you own, or more importantly, to prove to justify what you do in order to make money. I say this to my tarot students all the time, and I'm very strict about it. Don't ever justify what you do. We may not wear shirts or suits or, go and sit in fancy boardrooms, but we're no less professional than anybody else. Trust that by letting go of old patterns, you are making space for a more abundant and more aligned way of living. For this, you've got the Son of Wands. This is the Knight of Wands. Leo, this Nodal Axis tells me that you've got something to prove, and I think you will be going after it in a very big way. You've got Judgment. This is a profound change on the horizon. This is you driving that change, moving towards that awakening, moving towards that shifting and changing of your life in a really big way, and you're leading this from the front. Right? There's no, this isn't you passively sitting back and oh, well, I'm sure it will happen. This is you getting seriously fucking proactive about it. And then you've got the Two of Cups, right? Remember, your relationship with money is a partnership. It's a relationship. Your relationship or your joint finances are to do with relationships. So this is saying that you're shifting not only your relationship with your money and other people's money, but you're shifting your relationships in general, and that's going to help you discover a brand new sense of self-worth. Love this. That Judgment card is really speaking very loud, because there's a call to action here, and it's that Knight of Wands says Leo's already answered the call. In fact, they didn't even wait for the call. They just hopped on their horse and said, fuck it, I'm in. I love it. And this is what's going to bring the right kinds of partnerships and collaborations and connections to you. And I'm very, very excited about that. All right, so let's get into your lunations. On the 13th of the month, we've got Luna conjunct Mars in your 12th house. This is the full moon in Cancer, right? It's the annual Cancer full moon in your 12th house. This is shining a light on the past, on your subconscious, on your spirituality, hidden matters, hidden enemies, if you have any. Any deep insights will really be coming to the fore at this moment. And that Mars retrograde conjunct the moon, it is stirring up some irritation or frustration that you have that's been maybe in the past or, behind the scenes, but it's helping you to clear those things as well. Neptune and the North Node are in a trine to this at this time. Let me put that back up there. So, this could be really nice, especially because it's in the 8th house of transformation. So it's supporting you in releasing whatever wounds and issues you have into becoming a more empowered version of yourself. This is a time to release subconscious blocks, toxic habits. Remember, the 12th house is bad habits, things that are not good for us, where the call is coming from inside the house, where we get in our own way, our self-sabotaging tendencies, right? All of that kind of shit where your own subconscious trips you up. On top of that, Uranus is sextile to this moon. And so this could, because the 10th house is your career, right? So Uranus is in Taurus, that's in your career sector. So you've got something from the past, that's the full moon conjunct Mars retrograde in the 12th, is sextile to the Uranus in Taurus. There's some kind of potentially shocking, maybe sudden kind of shift or insight that changes the way that you approach your goals. And also, I want you to really trust that this moon will bring a profound emotional or spiritual growth once you get rid of what you need to. Pay attention to your dreams as well at this time, because they could really hold the key to releasing and healing some of your, if not all of your past. Now, for this, you've got the gate 16 and enthusiasm. Do you remember what it was like when you just believed that things would work out, when there was no question about whether you would get what you wanted or what you desired? Are you able to get back to that for just a little minute? That's what this full moon is trying to help you to be reborn, right? To see everything through the eyes of the guise of a child. Interesting stuff. Okay. On the 29th of the month, we have the Aquarius new moon in your 7th house. This is a fresh start for your relationships, partnerships. It's creating a harmonious trine, right? So this new moon is in a wonderful trine to Jupiter in Gemini in your 11th house. So this is partnerships and friendships coming together. This is shared goals, visions and dreams in some way, shape or form that start to unfold. It's a really beautiful time to set your intentions around relationships with other people, personal, professional, platonic especially. I love this, right? And this is a trine from Jupiter, so this could be opportunities that come from friends, through social media or group endeavors, opportunities for meaningful connections or to collaborate with others who really share your vision might come around at this time. And I will say, it's just a new moon, so this is your setting the intention for this stuff. So from here on in, you got to be discerning, right? And the key is, because Jupiter's involved, if it doesn't feel light-hearted, if it doesn't bring a sense of freedom, even though Jupiter's retrograde, if it doesn't bring a sense of expansion and lightness to you, it's probably not for you, right? So anyone that makes you feel heavy or dense or dank around partnership or collaboration or buddying up, that's your message, right? If they make it, if you connect with someone and you think, wow, you know what, I feel really light, it feels really good, everything just flowed really nicely, that's your cue to say, this is the collaboration, this is the work, this is the connection, this is the partnership that you want to continue with. If it feels heavy, if it feels forced, if it feels like there's any of that passive aggressive bollocks underneath all of the rest of it, it's probably not for you, right? You've got the light vibe, you've got the heavy vibe. That's what's going to tell you from this new moon onwards. And for this, you've got the gate 34 and power. You just can't make this stuff up. The message behind this card is about trusting and tapping into your own unique power, right? And what I mean here is, yes, it's about authenticity, but it's about knowing this is what I bring to the table. This is my special sauce. You bring yours. You've got yours. Everyone's got their own special sauce. This is about you understanding what yours is and standing so firm in that you literally are, it's like you come across like you're breathing fire. You just spit in pure fire, pure power. With that said, let me know in the comments. These are back. These are for you from here on in. So enjoy them. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care and I'll see you soon.